The very important aspect that we need to take into consideration here is what do we consider the challenge? I personally feel that life as such is a matter of perception. It is how we perceive things and how our mind perceives things. So the mind, I would say, is perceiving this as the challenge or perceiving it as a challenge. For me, being a musician, being a composer, even pre-COVID, most of my life is pretty lonely in the sense that I sit for hours on end in my studio and creating music to fulfill the vision of a production house, to fulfill the vision of a director, to fulfill the vision of a producer. And even there, I would say that it is only a perception. So I look at life in general as a bunch of perceptions that we have. It is very important for us to perceive. And in order for us to perceive something in the right direction or in the right way, I think being in the now is very important. I say so because the future is something that no one of us has seen. None of us have seen the future, and the future is nothing but just something that is projected by the mind. It is not reality. Reality is something that we are living in at this moment, in the now. Reality is something that is only in the now. The past is reality without an iota of doubt, but it is reality that is not in our control. It is reality which is no longer existent. Maybe it has happened with us. A lot of us go through the worst phases of our life. We go through a lot of difficulties. We face a lot of challenges. But then it's the past, which is not in our control. So it is very important for us to stay in the now, stay in the present, look at the present, but stand in a future. So action taken in the present is what is going to help us with what we are seeing into the future, rather than continuously being guided by what is happening around us and allowing the mind to do a zillion things with us, which completely at times could break the confidence, could put us in a deep black hole. One feels very dejected and depressed about whatever is happening around, and there is a sense of hopelessness. But the perception is what is causing this hopelessness. It is not reality, because as I told you just now, that my personal opinion stands at the fact that, the future is something which is nothing but a perception of the mind at this point in time. So acting in the now is very important. Having the faith in oneself is equally important. And basis that, doing the action. So a lot of things come down here to actually acting and doing. So the doing is very important. Without the doing, like the famous, there's a quote that I often read, and it's by the famous psychiatrist Carl Jung, who used to be an apprentice to the great Sigmund Freud. He often said that you are not what you say you do, you are what you do. So I think that is an extremely profound and extremely deep statement, that we are not what we say we shall do or we will do, but we are what we do. So it is important that once the internal dialogue says that I need to be in this action in order to overcome the challenge, I would harp a lot on doing of the action. Without the doing, I don't think there can ever be the space of having what you wish to have. Whatever the challenge may be, it could be the COVID challenge, it could be any other challenge. I'm talking about this for life as such, where I am also a student of life. So even I'm learning over a period of time. But I have realized that actually getting into the action of doing is more important than sitting and working on an extremely analytical mindset, because sometimes in life, it is the analytical mindset with a lot of logic doesn't work. It's just some magic that happens when you decide to give the universe something great, and the universe for sure will give it back to you in the right sense of the term, depending on what you are wanting to achieve with your respective profession or with your family life or with whatever you wish to. So a lot of us spend a lot of time in analyzing the future, in trying to figure out what is going to be the future, but we are not in the moment, in the present, trying to understand what is it that we can give ourselves completely in totality in the now. The doing and the action is hardly present. It is more of the analysis of the future, a lot of analysis about what we read in the newspapers or what we see across social media websites and opinions of people. So I personally feel that the more someone judges things, the more we get judgmental about what is happening around us, the more we get into a very deep space of this is wrong, this is right, this is truth, this is lies, this is a black, this is white. I think we kind of shroud our minds. And I talk for myself as a creative professional where I do a lot of work alone, where I create my music alone. For me, the playground has to be very clean. The playground has to be very open for creation. If I'm already going to shroud my brains with a lot of thought process, with a lot of judgment, with a lot of analysis about things, with a lot of good and bad in my head, there is already a lot of garbage there on the ground, which will not allow me to create because I have already filled my mind with judgments even before I can, start a piece of music as and when I start the piece of music for the day. It is like a self audit where you have to keep telling yourself that stop judging whatever is happening around you. Stop judging people. Stop judging circumstances. Stop judging what the newspapers are trying to say. And we are nobody to judge that. That's the way I look at it. I just feel that, there is a certain path. I have a certain vision to create great music, to share beautiful music with my audience, so that brings a smile to their face, to make sure that they love my music. And that is my vision. And I need to focus on that vision. And that vision involves the doing in the now. There is a lot of stress given into the future, and a lot of people are extremely stressed about what is happening. So very largely, one is not seeing reality in the true sense of the term, because the future is unseen. So we really don't know what the reality is. You need to just keep standing in a future and working in the present, doing in the present, without allowing the mind to do a lot of internal talk about what the future holds and the difficulties that are going to come our way and what is going to happen with the future and where is this all going to lead us to and what is going to be the difficulty that we are going to face. This is all just something that is an internal dialogue of the mind, which stops us from the doing in the now. And I've very often seen through experience that once you start doing in the now, the future automatically opens up magically. It just opens up magically. There is something miraculous about the way the universe behaves, where the future starts opening up and you start doing this beautiful work, and the way you have perceived the future, the way you stand in the future, automatically that future starts showing up in the present. And I think the catch lies in the doing of the now, rather than thinking about what is the whole thing. And it is also very, very imperative that we understand at this point in time that it is imperative that we do in the now. Most of us, worrying about the future, we stop doing in the now, and that is what I think causes the further stress, causes the mind to continuously start the dialogue that, oh, things are not happening my way, things are not going my way, things are very difficult, things are not opening up. And you got to understand the world of people. I think it's very important to have some compassion here. Compassion for people who are suffering, compassion for people who are going through their difficult times. Come from their world, understand their world, rather than perceive everything from your point of view. Because my point of view is only is a sum total of my experiences and my limited understanding of life. The person who I am dealing with, whether it's at a professional level or whether it is at a personal level or whether it is at some other level, it is very difficult to understand what that person is going through. So I think one needs to stand in their world, one needs to stand in their space and understand what they're going through compassionately, have a lot of compassion for what they're going through. And the world becomes automatically a more peaceful place. I personally feel this is just my personal opinion, that when judgment stops, when people stop judging things and just be with it, I think stay with it, be with it, live and doing your own thing, which is where you can contribute to a better world. I think the world will be a more peaceful place and the world will be a much happier place.